machine.
Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I am your host, the Amazing Super Chris. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a great week so far. It's only Tuesday. You know, there's a lot going on. We've really tried to avoid the outright political stuff for the most part on the show, mostly as best as we could. We try to keep it to religion because Daily Atheist Morning Show, not Daily Liberal Left-Wing Nutbag Morning Show. But they're so intertwined nowadays, you know, so things are changing. And I fear as things get worse, as many of us have predicted over, you know, the last few years, literally the last decade, as things get to this boiling point where we're about to reach, it's going to get to the point where we just can't talk about politics here on the show. And I realize that there are some people who are going to have problems with that because with the old Daily Atheist Morning Show back in 2019, a lot of people didn't like the fact that we talked about politics too much. At the time, things were not as, I feel, severe, but that's just how it was. So that's one of my concerns. I fear we may lose support. Who knows? Maybe the channel will grow. Je ne sais pas. But that's what we're going to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on in LA and apparently elsewhere around the world, led by our dear leader. We'll be back in a minute.
Today's world is confusing, and there's too much information for one person to make sense of it all. Which credit card should I pay off first? Is non-fat milk good for me? Who should I vote for? Let's face it, if you can't figure out high-interest milk, then how can you be expected to make political decisions that influence a country of over 325 million people? Well, that's why there's fascism. Fascism is the political, social, and economic system for today's world. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines fascism as a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts a nation, and often race, above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of the opposition. Choose this ideology and life will be easy. Did you ever look at someone who uses really big words and think, I wish those libs would just disappear? Well, under fascism, your dreams can come true. Under fascism, you won't have to worry about the pesky little things like brown people or atheists, or who in your country is entitled to basic human rights and who is not. Hint, hint, the answer is nobody. Yes, friends, this truly is the final solution you've been looking for. And if you're concerned if this form of authoritarianism will be up to your high standards, don't worry. American fascism will be the best fascism in the world because it's been endorsed by Jesus. So go out and destroy freedom and democracy by getting fascism today. Paid for by the Fascio-Conservative Party, formerly known as the GOP.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. I got my co-host, Rion Cultastic. She's joining me this morning. Good morning, Rion. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Sort of. You're very rosé, oranges. Yeah. No, it's cool. I'm not complaining. I mean, it's just like the shirt and your face, and
I'm glowing.
You are glowing. You indeed
and not
are
the pregnancy
glowing.
kind of glow. Just
No.
saying. It ain't that.
No. Which kind of is interesting because I made a video early this morning about the Southern Baptists, how they're making a push for certain things. We should watch that video that I made. One of those things is they're making a push against antinatalism. So people who go, oh, I don't want to have a child. Are you still able to have a child? Then you shouldn't be able to say out loud that you don't want to have a child.
Oh my Lord.
They're pushing, again. So we're going to talk about that that's part of what we're going to talk about today. But, I don't know if you noticed the subject of the show. I changed it from the lighthearted, whatever it was. And the topic of the day has switched to more of a political kind of thing. It's, as you probably heard from the introduction.
I heard a little bit. I did walk away, but I did hear a little bit about your, wondering about the support of the channel, how they're going to feel, because I know a lot of people land on different sides of the political spectrum. Yes. But come on, man, I feel like real recognize real, and our rights are being trampled on, regardless of what side of the aisle you on. They're trampling on our rights.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's going to expand. It's going to grow, these kinds of things. Let me, before we get too carried away, let me say hello to, that's cool that you can do that. I forget that you can do that. Highlight them. That's awesome. Randall says the flames of hell approaching Ryan. There you go.
To get me.
Good morning, Answers in Atheism. How can you afford such a huge staff? I think you're talking about my dogs. Yes, they're actually, the evil one has gone to work today. The evil one works. I'm a kept man, I guess you might say. What do you call them? Gigolo? Am I a gigolo? I'm a gigolo. Maybe no, we're married, so I don't guess it's a gigolo.
just a gigolo.
But yeah, we just kind of got the dogs over time. It started with Sadie and then Bailey, and then we got Jack and Daisy, and then Ollie just kind of got thrown at us one day, and But that's the whole deal, my friends. Part of the way I can afford them is I don't let them just lay around. We put these little puppies to work. Camera operator, scripty, all that business. So that's how.
Treats are expensive.
They are.
There's tariffs on treats too, you guys.
That's right. That's right.
Happy belated birthday to Dave. I don't know if we said happy birthday to him. Yes, Simply Secular. Dave had a birthday the other day, and I don't know if we said happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Dave. Congratulations. Let's see. Good morning, Nitty. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Nitty.
We're doing great. Looking forward to having Nitty for, I believe the first hour of the show, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Thursday. It'll be Thursday. Yes, Thursday.
Thursday.
There you go. Nitty says, I tried for a while to keep it separate. Americans can't do it. I won't either. We're talking about the religion. Yeah. Simply Secular Dave, are you anti-natalist? No, I just don't want to have a child with you. There's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a big difference.
That's right. Tim Extema says, I'm not American. I can be on both sides of the issue. Not really. Not really. I mean, you could be Argentinian back in 1933, but you would still probably want to pick a side. I mean, there's a very clear difference between the two different sides. I'm just saying. That's my opinion, Randall Flagg, good morning. The Trusty Ape, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Katie Dodson is here. You're a go-getter. You take your wife to work and then you go get her. Only when I must. Only when I must. I'm a very good house husband. Well, maybe. I'm not a bad house husband.
So good.
Yes. I'm Good morning, Bomb Poppy. Thank you for joining us today. One of the things I didn't do today because of the change of the topic from religious specific to political, I did not go post in Philip Lister's Facebook groups. They're all Christian and theist kind of discussion groups, and I didn't feel it was appropriate to go post this sheerly political thing here. But one of the things I've been trying to do is trying to get more disciplined, if you will, in the work I do. And so yesterday I dropped a video, as you remember. Well, this morning I also dropped another video. Now, we've been through the thing. Well, I want to briefly talk a little tech talk. I've watched my videos. I try to keep them very simple, not a lot of graphics, not a lot of editing. And, you can go and look at the best practices and all these things, and you can think, oh, man, you need to do more or anything, something more. And I agree, I probably could. But I watched Durante go from 6,500 to 50,000 subscribers, doing less than I do in my videos. So it's not that.
It just talks.
Right. That's not it. Okay. So I want to point that out just because, the reason why is because editing is so freaking hard and it takes so much time to add all the graphics and the web page or whatever you want to put on there. And when I get an editor, that'll be great. But until then, if I want to create content quickly, I need to trust that I can do it and just put it out there. And so that's what we're getting today. Actually, today, one of the videos running on the Theocracy Watch channel is your video on Texas and vibrators.
Ooh.
Yes, that one dropped today. That's one of my favorites. Me and you giggle a lot. You're in that one.
You can only have 6 dildos because otherwise it's dangerous.
That's right.
Only.
6.
I mean,
the number of men.
You can go buy a gun. That's fine.
Probably as many as you want.
Yeah. A-okay.
Yes.
That's your right. But a dildo,
Very true.
don't.
A dildo. That's right. Well, it's like they're very anti-female orgasm.
They don't want us to have a good time.
Right.
Oh
They
my
do
God.
not. I mean,
They never thought that maybe,
they don't.
hey, maybe men enjoy some of those toys, or maybe there's
No.
why,
Don't even go there. You do get them banned even that much faster.
you know, like there could be some personal problems if that thing don't work, you know.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, because like I said, you'll make them get banned that much faster, because the SBC, for those of you who don't know, is the Southern Baptist
Convention?
Coalition.
Oh, I think it's convention.
Is that right? Convention.
Whatever.
Yes, I'm sorry. Convention. I got distracted because I hurt my hand.
Con men? I think it's con men.
Those Southern Baptist people, you know, the ones that embraced slavery.
Indeed.
Those people have their convention. And at this convention, you know what? But it comes between. I
mentioned them today in my Theocracy Watch too. So the SBC,
do you?
SMD. That's what they can do.
That is so hot. I like it when you say that. I want to mention, I've been trying to segregate the content that I create. So whenever I create something related to these things, I drop it on the Theocracy Watch as well. I don't just drop Rion over there. I have 2 different playlists. Rion.
That's smart.
And then Chris. So this one here, because of the topic, is exactly, so this is what I'm going to play this one here. Aujourd'hui, pour vous. And we're going to go, where is it? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi
ce soir?
Où est les toilettes? Sorry, I'm learning French. Où est les toilettes?
I need to pick up a language. I mean, un poquito español, but not as much as I'd like.
Here we go. All right. So this is the video I created this morning. Esto mornio. Here we go. And I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go here. And this is, I don't know how long it is. I don't know. We're going to watch it together, you and me, folks. Well, I'm going to highlight it even. And here we go. This is about the Southern Baptist. I did this morning. Damn it. Southern Baptist Convention is at it again. This time gathering in Dallas to remind America just how committed they are to dragging the country back into a 1950s fever dream, or, frankly, a Handmaid's Tale-style theocracy. This week, SBC delegates who call themselves messengers, because of course they do, are voting on a slate of moral purity tests disguised as resolutions. The targets? Pornography, sports betting, same-sex marriage, and even people who choose not to have kids. Let's be clear, this is not just some internal church housekeeping. These resolutions are designed to influence lawmakers and courts. It's a full-on, open-faced push to replace secular law with fundamentalist dogma. First up, they want to criminalize pornography, not regulate, not restrict, criminalize, as in use the power of the state to punish consenting adults for making or watching sexual content. This isn't about protecting children. This is about controlling behavior, controlling bodies, controlling you. Next, they're coming for sports betting, which they claim commodifies athletes and endangers the soul. No, look, I am no defender of gambling addiction or predatory corporate practices or none of that business. But the hypocrisy here is rich. These are the same folks who built megachurch empires off tithes, faith pledges, and shady real estate deals. But gambling? That's the real moral crisis. Then there's the demand to overturn same-sex marriage. Yes, in 2025, the Southern Baptists want the Supreme Court to reverse Obergefell versus Hodges and strip LGBTQ plus Americans from their right to marry. Why? Because in their words, it violates the truth of creation and natural law. That's not law, folks. That's religious dogma, and they want it legislated. And just when you think they couldn't go any further, surprise, now they're condemning willful childlessness. Yes, choosing not to have kids. They say that's morally wrong. They want policies to promote reproduction as some kind of sacred civic duty. That's right out of The Handmaid's Tale. The whole purpose of a handmaid is to be the womb for a married man and a married man and woman who can't have children. That's her whole purpose. Her whole purpose. It's the handmaid's civic duty and honor to God to give her body as a birth slave for someone else's offspring. This is textbook dominionism, the belief that Christians, specifically evangelical Christians, should control all the levers of power: law, media, culture, and government. And it's not fringe. These are the same people feeding legislators the scripts for anti-trans laws, book bans, abortion restrictions, and now moral purity campaigns. Let's not forget, the SBC has been bleeding members for nearly 2 decades, down to 12.7 million in 2024, its lowest in modern history. But don't let that fool you. This is not a dying movement. It's a radicalizing one. Smaller, angrier, more militant. The same thing we've seen with other fundamentalist movements around the world. Even inside the SBC, things are fracturing. There's a push to defund their public policy arm, the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, because it's not extreme enough, not anti-abortion enough, not anti-trans enough. They're purging moderates and replacing them with zealots. And all of this is happening while the SBC continues to dodge accountability for decades of child SA abuse and institutional cover-ups. If they spent half as much time addressing their own rot as they do legislating your bedroom, maybe we'd take their moral crusade a little more seriously. But here's the real danger. These aren't just church debates. These are resolutions. They are resolutions explicitly designed to shape policy. They're urging lawmakers and judges to codify conservative Christian theology into law. That's not religious freedom. That is religious control. And if you're wondering how that fits into the broader movement of Christian nationalism, this is it. Right here, right now. This is the playbook. Declare secularism immoral and sinful, then legislate theocracy, one Supreme Court ruling at a time. So while most of the country is just trying to survive late-stage capitalism and preserve a shred of bodily autonomy, the Southern Baptists are laser-focused on ensuring that your life, your love life, your sex life, and your family structure is dictated not by democracy or human rights, but by their interpretation of an ancient patriarchal text. This is not just a culture war, it's a power grab. And it's time we stop pretending otherwise. I'm Chris Mallard with Theocracy Watch, and if we don't fight back now, we're going to wake up one day asking ourselves why our laws sound more like Leviticus than the Constitution. Remember the quote from The Handmaid's Tale, "Not fighting is how we got Gilead." Click over here to check. All right, and that is all of it. Let me see if I can figure out how to.
Well done. Well said.
Thank you.
Well spoken.
So I'm trying to get to the point where I get up and I create something like that every day and push out my craziness on a regular basis because, you know, it's good stuff. But that is actually what they're trying to do. That's literally what we've created Theocracy Watch for. How many different ways are they attacking our democracy every day? I mean, it's staggering. And now you've got a Theocracy Watch today. Probably you said has something to do with this, right?
It actually doesn't have anything to do with this, but wow. it does have to do with the SBC. They're part of this. I know. It's like they can't keep their hands out of the fucking cookie jar, and the cookie jar being our rights.
Oh, it's crazy. Good morning, David. A new face in the chat says atheism or religious belief in general doesn't necessarily correlate with morality. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Just because we don't believe in God doesn't have anything to do with morality or any of that business. It's but however, we are a group of people who share similar moral, what's called atheism, but then you couple it with, what do we call it? Humanism, skeptical humanism, humanist values, that sort of thing. And that's where we get our morality. I feel I rely on 100,000, 130,000 years of evolution of our species in small communities and all this, and that's how we learned kind of right from wrong, good from bad, and all those things. I really rather rely on that kind of knowledge and experience and really science that dictates it over the notion that some horrific, monstrous beast written in a book 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 years ago. I mean, it's horrific. Go read the book. If you think it's some loving, wonderful God, you haven't read the book. It's a horrific creature. And to think I mean, I would so much rather believe that that's where we get our morals from. Otherwise, you got to explain why we nowadays think it's better that slavery is not good. Why we don't sell our daughters into sexual marriages and stuff like slavery and all this other business. Why is this bad? Why do we feel it's bad and yet that book says it's good? These sorts of things. That's the kind of morality you get from that. Sorry?
No, I was just going to ask you about your video. So you said that they're also coming for gambling?
Yes. Not so much. Now, that's the difference in gambling. With everything else, they want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of gay marriage. They want to get rid of, those other toys, outlaw them and make them illegal. But as far as gambling, they just want to severely restrict gambling.
I mean, I just think it's funny when gambling was in the Bible. Like, what do you think casting lots is? I mean, it's up to chance. It's a luck of the draw. Is that not what sports betting is?
I got to tell you, their entire religion is based. They're throwing the dice on the fact that there's an afterlife. They are betting all their life.
That's the biggest gamble.
So who is against gambling? Nitty says, but that's sin, and God used it. God, that's the whole thing. Whenever you got these God botherers, they determine what's sin, not God, really. They interpret what God said or God wants or what God does or what somebody who represented God thinks or wanted or blah, and they interpret that, and they are the ones who interpret what sin is and what sin is not. And in the video we were talking about, they're talking about now. Also, another thing that they mentioned, of course, was they want to make it to where being an antinatalist in any fashion, I guess, just not wanting to have children, is immoral. Does it start with immorality and then they start finding out? So at that point, they already want to jail you if they find out you use abortion pills or if you do the after.
Oh, right, yeah.
They already want to go after that. They want to go after birth control. So at what point? I mean, this is just really, if you've seen, I've only seen the first half season of The Handmaid's Tale, and what I know about religion and theocracy and what's going on, it is stupid, eerie. We kind of stopped watching because it's hard to watch. It's emotional.
Aspects are under attack, just like you said in there. Like at first, women couldn't have bank accounts, and then it just slowly progressed. And it really does remind me of like cult mentality. They do all the same things that cults do. They want to control the information. They want to suppress your individuality. They're burning books. I mean, maybe the cult doesn't burn books, but you know what I'm saying? They're keeping you from the information that would maybe educate you somewhere or enlighten you. And they're making all of it normalized. Like, it's just, you hear it so much, like after hearing years and years of that same rhetoric, it just sounds normal.
Very true. Very true. Thank you, Lieutenant Jennifer, for the $5 super chat. Says, didn't Jesus say, where one or more gather in my name, tender crashes? That's wrong. Yes, indeed. Kip says, yes, Brian, the usage of lots in the Bible was only for dividing the will of the gods. So that's much more acceptable than throwing dice in a casino for reasons. They'll find a reason.
Always reasons. Yes, there's always reasons. If they can find a reason why their sin is okay, they'll do it.
That's true. Nitty he does say, family planning or lack thereof is not antinatalism. That's right. I mean, just because you want to have children, there's a difference between having sex and having children. And they don't like the separation, for one. They don't want women to have pleasure. Really. That's, I mean,
that's
goodness, Rainbow Ash is here. Yes, it's a myth. It's like that G-spot.
Women having orgasms, that's a myth.
But like unicorn.
Leftist myths.
Coming in riding your unicorn orgasm. We have a new name in the chat, Excro216. What's the difference between a cult and a religion? Religious people definitely burn books, by the way. Yep. I guess the religion, with the cult, the leader is still alive. With the religion, he's dead. Or somebody in a cult knows it's not real.
Same thing, just
same
difference.
So mommy says, I have children. They're wearing little fursuits. Yes, they are. And the cool thing about those is when society collapses, you can eat them without really worrying too much about it
Oh man, not the crows. Don't eat the murder.
No,
don't murder the murder.
No, I kid. I would never eat. My dogs will end up eating me. Good morning, Ricardo. Ricardo, thank you for joining us. John Hudson is here. I got my gasm. You get your gasm. Right? I got mine. You do what you need to. I'll be in the other room.
I got my gasm. You get your gasm.
It's like Ben Shapiro and the WAP, or not knowing what it was.
Oh God! And he was like, basically admitting that his wife had a dry pussy. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Don't brag about that, buddy.
I'm going to do the thing here. I'm going to change our poll here right quick on our thing. We got a couple of polls going. In the chat, I ask, have you liked the stream? I very much appreciate if you like and share the stream. It helps us grow. I appreciate you. Thank you. Muy appreciato. But I'm going to change that poll. I'm going to end the poll now. And the poll, because as you know, today we're talking about politics. I'm going to post the link to today's poll for you guys if you want to go vote. Copy, paste. Then we'll go today's poll. Boop. There, and I'm gonna link that so it stays up at the top for you guys, because I feel it's important. Normally the poll is just about engagement. Hey, it tells you to do this so people will engage and get you more streams, right? Today it's a little more different. Today's poll is about politics. Now that one there, I posted that link up there, but the new little poll here I'm going to say is in the thing. Should I like doing the all right. Should the damn show cover more politics or stick to religion? Yes. More politics.
See, mommy.
No. Stay in your lane. And then, of course, we have to have our third option, Praise Doug. You know what? I don't want to do a Praise Doug option. I like doing Praise Doug options for fun every now and then, but this is kind of a serious, I really need an answer. And a lot of people who would say one of those other important answers would almost certainly choose Praise Doug, because Praise Doug is cool.
Definitely.
So if you don't mind, let me know your thoughts on that. Normally we cover religion. I've been trying to stay in my lane for the most part, but man, they are coming into our lane and it's really hard not to. So the topic, the question of the day, in case you have not gone over there, is Trump going too far? Are we watching the United States die and be replaced with Trumpistan? Right here.
Oh, Trumpistan.
That's the question.
I don't even like how that sounds. Trumpania.
No. Trump. Ooh. Huh. Either one. Well, I like Trumpistan because it really reflects his relationship with Vladimir Putin.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying. saying.
No, that's a yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, fly the right flag is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oof.
So there's the thing. Now, the question is, of course, like I said, is there? Now, let's see how many votes we have since I created it just before the show. Wow, we had 13 votes, and I mean, just literally before the show. And the reason why is because I created it before that, thinking I'd created options, and I hadn't created any options. I just created the question. I'm sitting there going, how come there's nobody making any? Oh, so
you forgot to finish.
Yeah. So let me go here. Let me refresh El Pejo. So now we've got 13 votes, 6 thumbs up, 5 thumbs up, old man eyes, and no comments so far. But yes, there is no going back. He crossed a lot of lines here. That's the first option I gave, and a lot of people have chosen that. No, this is what he promised, /MAGA. And then what the hell is going on here? True enough, man. And that's part of the deal. They want us to be confused. And I think that's kind of a thing. Let me go here. Austin Sims, good morning. Austin Sims, thank you for joining us. Let me pop us back over here to the thing at the place. We don't need that. We'll let that poll develop. Remember, the link is at the top. Let's see what Austin has to say. It's impossible to avoid politics. I realize, might as well embrace it, be prepared to have a position on Israel, Palestine, Gaza, and be ready to extensively defend it. We are. We do. We have. We've talked about them.
Yeah. I kind of would prefer to at least like get a gauge on the community. Like I enjoy kind of knowing how the community feels about stuff like that,
Yeah. Well, part of it for me is learning. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just a guy in a room somewhere. Really, literally, that's all I am, a guy in a room. And I get all of my information off the internet, and I don't even watch TV. It's just off the internet, to be truthful, and so do you. I don't care who you are out there. Unless you're an on-the-site reporter, you get your internet off the internet, your information off the internet, and that's all we are. So you're right. Now, this morning's show was a topic about something funny. I don't remember what it was. Tomorrow's topic is still there. I created all the week's shows. I do that on the weekend. And they're all still there. And they're all funny and about religion and about theocracy and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Today's isn't. Today's is just outright. Listen, guys, we got shit going on. Donald Trump is calling out the Marines. He's calling out the fucking Marines in California in what started as peaceful protest. They didn't get unpeaceful protesting until he crossed the line, brought in the National Guard and all this other stuff. And he has intentionally escalated this. Donald Trump has escalated this. The LAPD said they have what they need. They don't need help. And Donald Trump has forced this. He's cited laws or something that he cited that he did not follow in the process of those laws. SB 413 or some business where he can bring in the National Guard, but he has to give those orders through the governor. He never did that.
Yeah, like
he
the Insurrection Act.
No, he hadn't even gotten to the Insurrection Act. That's the whole deal. He can do that, get around that by doing the Insurrection Act, but he did not. Good morning, Michael Beverly. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're having a wonderful time. We're a little more political this week. Let me see. So 86% of our people say yes, politics. 14% say no, stay in your lane. Good morning, Gelato Kush 420. I don't know what the hell you said in the chat. I'm fixing to find out. But your name is fantastic.
I'm right. You had me there.
I hope you're cool. Let's see. Destruction of property, vandalism, or burning cars, looting and stealing from businesses, etc., is not peaceful protesting. How much of that were they really doing, though? Were they doing so much of that they couldn't, that the LAPD couldn't handle it on their own? I very much doubt that. And second of all, why isn't Donald Trump calling what happened on January 6th an insurrection, whenever they literally did attack the Capitol police officers on the Capitol? Didn't he pardon those people? We have it on video. You can't deny that didn't happen. And the notion that people are going to rise up against an authoritarian dictatorship that's being imposed upon them and blame them for struggling is just kind of, this is not the place for that.
You know what? I heard that several hundred years ago, there were people in this country who destroyed a bunch of property. They threw it into like the rivers and shit. They got it off the boats. It was a bunch of like tea and shit. Like, could you believe that they destroyed property like that? Oh my God, disgusting people. I mean, disgusting.
The bastards. To throw away perfectly good tea, especially Boston tea, because that's the kind of tea I would drink. If I was there, I would drink Boston tea. That's the one, of course. That's the one Bugs Bunny would drink.
You pack your car.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Listen, there's a point whenever in history, any rebellion, whether it be one we see as a good one or not a good one, whether you want to call it the American Revolution, had to start somewhere at some point. Violence began the American Revolution. At some point there was like, hey, no, you guys are bad. Stop, to bang, bang, bang. Somewhere that happened. And if I remember correctly, the first shot fired was fired by the English. If I remember correctly, the first shot fired, I could be wrong. It's been a minute or two. I wasn't anticipating this kind of conversation when I came on the show, but the English. And, one of the things about that circumstance is the people who were in the United States back then, who were patriots, who were fighting for the United States against England, were what we would today see as liberals. The ones who were conservatives and did not want to go and become their own country, who wanted to stay a colony to England, those were the conservatives of the day. So the real patriots are sitting right here, folks. You out there, if you're a liberal nutbag like me, you're the real patriots. I may have said conservative. The real patriots are right here. So that's my thinking.
The difference is I fight for the people. Like, I care so much about this country. I want everyone, even you, even the jerk off. even the jerk off who hates me, I still think that you should have your rights. And saying that I should just shut up and not fight back is super weird, because again, that's what this country was built on,
Right.
was it not? Expressing ourselves, freedom.
And I want to say, I don't know. I need to go. Here's what I want to do. I need to put a little bit of time in examining the First and Second Amendments. However, if I know,
Sorry.
hey, perfectly timed though. Perfectly timed. She's like, next time just say something afterwards. I feel like, here, do this. Next time you do that, where you go like that, just repeat whatever I just said. The last little words.
Like, yeah, okay.
Like, I'm going to do this, and you're like, he's going to do that.
I'll do it. I'll try to do that.
I don't know what the hell I was talking about. Oh, yeah. First and Second Amendments. I'm going to put some mental effort into studying the First and Second Amendments, because there's a point where you can technically determine at which the right-wing party of the United States is trying to overthrow the government. At what point has the United States been overthrown? Has the coup already happened? Is the coup happening? And in any case, any step along that way where Donald Trump's attempts to take over power in the United States could be considered a coup, then what the people in California are doing, even if they resort to violence, is protected under the Second and First Amendments, because they are defending the nation against a threat that is domestic, against a domestic threat, and that would be Donald Trump.
And even the mayor, because I've been watching a lot of the streams and stuff. Even the mayor said this was all under control. It was all peaceful. Mm-hmm. The violence came when the National Guard and ICE started to push up against the crowd, shooting the crowd, throwing tear gas against the crowd. I mean, honestly, I try to be a pretty peaceful person, but seriously, like if you were in my face and you were touching me, at some point, you're going to get it.
And see, here's the thing. Whenever that mayor was arrested in New York City, maybe New Jersey, I don't remember. The reason why one of them was arrested, there were several people arrested. One of them was arrested because a guard or somebody defending that, or trying to keep them from getting into that facility, reached out to grab or touch them, and that person brushed away their hand. And the conservatives, considered that assault. And we're enough to, that's what they threw that guy in jail for. That mm-hmm. kind of thing.
They're inciting it. It's intentional.
They
poke.
Yes.
Until
and as soon as you, mm-hmm.
I'm trying to protect myself. You're grabbing somebody up, and I try to protect myself, and all of a sudden you're resisting.
That's right. Good morning, Adam. Thank you for the 5 memberships. Very much appreciate you. You are fantastic. Parasophilus and Mr. Peabody, Tony Dino Talk Tony, Native Atheist, and Nitty all received gift memberships from Adam. Thank you very much, Adam. Burns 313 says, we can't allow these idiots to overtake us, especially roughshod style. Shaking my head. That's what they're doing, and that's the whole purpose. I mean, Steve Bannon said before the election, as they were doing the campaigning and all that, that once they got in, they got to do them shotgun, get it so fast, hit them in so many different directions that people won't be able to tell what the hell is going on. And that's where they've been doing. They've lost so many things in court and had so many things just blown out. It's ridiculous, but that's because they've brought, I mean, it's horrible how they've worked so hard to undermine our democracy and our government and the checks and balances that keep the power away from Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. The one guy, I forget who he was, somebody important, but he was like, you've got to incite violence or something like that to quell it. He's like, they have to come in raring to go in order to calm it down, which is like, no, if you're intentionally coming with guns blazing, that everybody else, like if you come at me guns blazing, I'm going to feel like I need to protect myself too. If you really want to have like a democratic process, have conversations, but that's not something that this presidency, this administration, the GOP is willing to have. It's their way or no way.
Right. And there's a time where laws become immoral. Donald Trump and his people are the ones in charge, and throughout our nation, just like you heard with my report, about the Southern Baptist Convention, they're doing things to try to pass laws so they can influence legislators. They're not going there for their health. Their whole purpose is there to go there to do legislators, to convince legislators to impose this theocracy on them. And because they get so much money and so many votes from these people, they're giving it to them, selling us out 100%. I think I missed something here in the chat. Austin Sims, I've got cells on the brain big time. There you go. Been studying for my bio exam and did a lot. Okay, interesting. Very cool. You keep that shit up. Carrie Ann Chrysler are those church lady protesters who are the poster children for anti-Christian propaganda, and a woman shot in the head by in her home, reaching for her Bible gets ignored.
Right.
Be consistent. Yeah.
They don't care.
There's a lot going on. They don't. Michael Wolf, good morning from across the pond. Michael, what do you think about what's going on over here? You know, one of the things we've been talking about, I think I'm going to run us a little break. I'm going to refill my coffee cup. I've been up since 1:30 this morning, so I'm kind of out of my coffee limit for today. But we're going to do a little thing. I think it's going to be the Conspirowin thing. And whenever we get back from the little thing, we'll run our conspiracy watch or theocracy watch. And then we'll continue talking about the things that are going in the world. Yes, hey, pretty much nowadays.
At this fucking point, bro.
That's right. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Let's be real.
Okay, we'll be back in just a second, guys.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are Conspirowin. Conspirowin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. Conspirowin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and Conspirowin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. Conspirowin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say, no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with Conspirowin.
All right, and we are back. Man, there's a lot going on in the chat, guys. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today.
Welcome.
We're going a little more political. Thank you for answering the poll. In the top of the chat, our poll is linked today. There's questions going on. Go check all that out. It's kind of important. We're swinging a little bit to the political side. Probably from now on, really, most of our shows will be almost certainly related to politics and things like that. So just because the politics, Donald Trump is using religion as a weapon. He's using it to get votes, to get power, and then using it as a weapon to control us. So you're just, I'm sorry, I hate to say this. I don't normally say this. Go, girl. Say, I don't normally say this. He doesn't normally say this. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. I don't normally say this, but listen, if you're not into left-wing politics, liberal left-wing politics, atheist-related liberal left-wing politics, and if talking about Trump and stuff is going to bother you on the time, I love you all, you might want to just either make unnotify or unsubscribe.
I'll miss you.
Yeah, we will, because this is more important. But what we're talking about is really,
Stop
in
and say hi, and you can still give us the like.
You can, absolutely. You can.
The cult allows you to leave, okay? The cult is going to allow you to excuse yourself, but we do demand that we still get that tithe, which is the like. We deserve that.
That is right.
Much.
We are. Oh, I forgot we were the atheist cult. We're the atheist cult. I gotta remember.
Tut, Chris. Come on, we're supposed to be getting money out of these people.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean, I hate to see my numbers go down because it's so hard to get so many of you wonderful people. But
Numbers go down.
I mean, this would be probably the time. Fair warning. Michael Wolf says, talking to Katie, plenty of countries do, especially given international research projects. I'm not sure what's going on. You guys go do that conversation. That's fantastic. The Killdozer doesn't travel fast, but it travels through most anything. You know, you got to respect the Killdozer.
The Killdozer. Can I have one of them?
Maybe. That's a conversation. You've heard about that guy who built
the tank.
That's a long story. He built he tanked up a dozer because I think somebody did him wrong or something. I don't know the particulars. Adam, I see that 10 dead in school shooting in Austria, which is very, very sad and unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, is Pragmatic Crystal here?
Yes, I think so.
Fraggy, maybe here. No. She's either here or they're talking about her.
No.
Good morning, Fraggy.
They're talking about her. I didn't see her.
I'm going to hit the button and we're going to do the Theocracy Watch. Here we go.
You're tuned into the Atheist Morning Show on the DAN Network. And this is Theocracy Watch. What do you get when Christian nationalists claim they're protecting kids online? A bill that protects Trump instead. Surprise, surprise. Welcome back to Theocracy Watch, where the religious right talks about freedom while quietly drafting the blueprints for censorship, surveillance, and state-approved truth. The latest assault on reality comes from the form of the Take It Down Act, a deceptively named bill pitched as a solution to revenge porn and child exploitation. But dig just a little deeper and you'll find something else entirely. A tool that could be used to scrub inconvenient truths from the internet, especially when those truths involve powerful men behaving badly. Introduced by Senators Ted Cruz and Amy Klobuchar, with bipartisan support in the House, is being championed not just in Congress, but by the Southern Baptist Convention Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, who framed it as a moral safeguard.
Surprise,
what the bill proposes is a centralized takedown system where users can request the removal of intimate or personal images, which sounds good in theory, right? But the language is dangerously vague. Experts warn it could be exploited to erase legitimate public interest content like leaked videos, courtroom evidence, or documentation of abuse under the excuse of privacy. That includes potential use by politicians, pastors, or billionaires who want to rewrite their digital legacy. This Trojan horse plays right into the Christian nationalist strategy. Push censorship disguised as morality, prioritize image over accountability, claim victimhood while silencing critics. The same lawmakers crying about cancel culture are now trying to legally cancel anything that threatens their public persona. And do not forget, this comes as Trump continues to weaponize religion, paint himself as a martyr, and push for immunity from legal consequences. The Take It Down Act will be wielded like a weapon, not to protect victims, but to shield the powerful from accountability. Mm-hmm. It gives the elite a backdoor to erase evidence, rewrite their sins, and vanish from the digital record washed in the blood of the algorithm. They aren't looking for justice. They want the power to sin in private and punish in public. And this bill hands them that eraser. So if you are from PA, Minnesota, Florida, or Michigan, call your reps and tell them this bill is amorphous and will be used to purge evidence, dissent, and anything that exposes the hands who pull the strings. Okay, so until next time, stay focused, stay curious, and please call your reps.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Take it down.
Klobuchar.
Klobuchar. Okay.
Something like
I did have it at first, and then, as I read it, I was like, what the fuck am I saying?
We like to be respectful. Good point. We like to be respectful. So, Amy, if you're watching, sorry. Let me go here. I'm hearing some echo. I'm going to see if I can, echo cancellation is on. So no worries. We'll do it. That's cool. It's just me. C'est moi. So now one of the things that we've got going on here, so once again, the SBC, the Southern Baptist Convention, rears its ugly head.
Mm-hmm. They love this bill. Sounds great.
And not in defense of victims, not in defense of really the faith. It's just so they can protect their own people who have hurt children.
Exactly. But even extrapolate that out. How are you going to make this system work? Who are the ones responsible for taking it down? does that mean that every social media is going to have a new agency where they just respond to these claims and every single claim is just granted? And trust me, I absolutely think that revenge porn is disgusting and exploiting children is disgusting and should come down. But what will be the oversight? Will there be oversight, or will these social media companies be so overwhelmed with the amount of requests that they're getting that the only thing they can do is just freaking agree, just take it down, take it down, take it down. Doesn't even matter if it has anything to do with exploitation.
Absolutely. That's right.
They're just going to erase.
I know, it's the same group of people who fought, not the same, literally the same group, like the same ilk, the same mindset, the same type, if you will, the same kind, to reference a Ken Ham reference, of people who just, my goodness, you know, it just staggers me who they won't go after. Who, you know, I mean.
Yeah, they won't go after those who wield any kind of power or influence in society. It's like everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid to speak up, and even channels who people are afraid to say, like, racism is bad. It's the simplest things. People are just sucking it up.
Yes. They don't care about Ukraine. They don't care about Ukraine. Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody but Donald Trump, in fact. Look at the trees. Good morning. Look at the trees. Thank you for joining us, Ricardo Gomez.
Ukraine's been proving Putin.
I know.
Don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
You know, there's in this whole notion of somehow Russia was equal to the United States militarily speaking, somehow, some way, some notion. That's very much not the case.
They underestimated their enemy, which I think sometimes they do. They think they're so, they think they're so great. Not saying they aren't.
No, I'm with you.
You underestimate them,
Right. But I mean, underestimating them kind of began and ended the first year of the war.
You're right, because it should it not been over by now? Should Israel not been done by now? Like, y'all aren't what you say you are.
Yeah. I mean, but man, it's just crazy how they the whole deal between Donald Trump kowtowing to Vladimir Putin, though, as well. Right. So now we've got Donald Trump doing his thing with Vladimir Putin. And now Donald Trump is fighting with Governor Newsom. Oh, what did you see, girl? Weird how when Ukraine stops sharing plans with Trump, they make a lot of headway. Trump.
I didn't know that, but that tracks. I mean, I don't have to read about it. I think he's saying that Trump was insider sharing information, I think, is what he's alleging
with
to.
Russia. Yes, that's great. That's a good point. A very good point. Because the thing about the trucks, my understanding, the mission with the trucks and the helicopter, the little drones, have you heard about that? They took out all the Russian planes.
Yeah.
They didn't tell Trump about that. They didn't tell the U.S. about that. And it worked out pretty well.
They probably won't anymore. They probably will not trust Trump with anything, because they're like, let's see what happens if we do this without his knowledge. We'll see if it goes through, if it works. And I think you might have got your answer.
And, there's things we were talking about yesterday about how there is a standalone transmitter on the White House from Elon Musk's Starnet. What's it called? Starlink?
Oh, yeah. You were saying they have a Starlink there at the Pentagon or White House or something?
On the top of the White House. There's own communications device that goes outside of the NSA, the CIA, outside of all those controls.
But Clinton used the wrong email. Clinton used the wrong, and I hate that bitch. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Actually, I don't like her whatsoever. But come on, she used the wrong email, but you got a goddamn Starlink.
Yeah. Starlink. That's right. You could feed tacos some false info just to see if the Russians take the bait. That's not a bad idea. I wonder how much of that
may come next. That could come next if it hasn't already happened.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they were doing.
Maybe that's why they've been staying so far ahead of the Russians up to this point.
Huh.
John Hudson, good morning, John. I hope you're doing okay. I suspect the Adderall hasn't kicked in or you wouldn't be here yet. What we really need is someone who's willing to impress Jodie Foster. John, I appreciate you on many levels. I do. Jodie Foster doesn't have enough psychotic fans out there today. I'm just saying.
I like Jodie Foster.
Me too. How much do you like her? That's the question, girl. How much do you like Jodie Foster?
In the wind.
Are you really wanting to impress her a lot? You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? You have no idea.
No, I do not. I do not.
The guy who attempted to assassinate President Reagan. That's why he did it. He was trying to impress Jodie Foster.
No, now, shut your face.
I wouldn't lie to you.
Oh, man. Do you love me that much?
That's right. That's why I'm saying. That's why the jokes. Now do you get the jokes?
Now I get it.
Now there's a whole new world of humor out there. Yeah. Yes, Jason Freer. Good morning, Jason Freer. Thank you for joining us. We all need a digital signature. Nothing should be anonymous. There's kind of points, you want to be anonymous to a certain degree, but you don't want to be anonymous because disappearing you becomes pretty easy if you're anonymous. So that's a kind of a thing. We face whole new challenges than the ones faced by the Maquis, the French people of World War II, the French underground of World War II. There's differences that will come, that may come. Hinckley, John Hinckley.
Hinckley.
Yes, the Trusty Ape, Jodie Foster's Army are a great band. That's interesting. I never heard of that.
I never heard of it.
Captive Death says, not a fan of the Trump crew, but the guy who decked Elon was funny. I don't even know who that was, per se. I just know that he got it.
I did hear that there was a brawl brawl there, but I don't know who it was. I can't remember.
I'm not really sure. But one of the things that, it's been kind of all fun and games until somebody loses a nation. And they started with sending in, quite a few of the National Guard. And now Donald Trump is talking about backing up the National Guard with the Marines. They're supposed to be sending, according to this article from NBC News.
Oh, man.
From last night around midnight.
I tell you what, I already struggle with agencies like that. I'm going to really struggle after this. I already don't really trust cults. I mean, I think you guys can understand why I struggle with cults. And if this happens, that's just going to up the ante. I'm really going to struggle.
Yeah. They really need to just drop the pretense. They're wasting so much time and so much energy pretending they're not fascist and fighting the term fascist. Just wear that hat, man. Yeah,
please,
just wear it,
Please.
That way the people who aren't sure can take a side, but that's what they're counting on. But I think at this point, if you aren't sure, you're either really kind of ignorant or you're sure. And you're just sucking up to both sides. You're playing the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like you've got to see what's happening.
Yeah. My understanding is Mustache Man guy was not, he wasn't the brightest cookie in the drawer, if you know what I mean. But he had a lot of people around him who facilitated what he wanted and their way. And that's just like Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump necessarily. You think Donald Trump came up with all this? You think, I'm not.
Oh my God. You're joking, right?
Donald Trump, Donald Trump obviously had a lot of intellectual help on this. Somebody literally plotted out the destruction of the United States. I bet they even had a chat. I bet they even asked, an AI, hey, this is what we want to do. How do we dismantle the guardrails of the United States? I think, right, Ricardo, own it. Why not own it? Mr. Warlock, what are you doing up so early? It's an ungodly hour, and you're joining us now.
Here with all the demons.
Yes. And that's what I have. Adam says, we're happy to have this fight, a White House official said. I want to mention that. That's a good point. I have been predicting that Donald Trump wants this. He wants this to escalate. And that's actually, I have that article right here. And that's exactly what it says. President Donald Trump's administration, let me see who did this, Matt Dixon from NBC News. President Donald Trump's immigration agenda has met a groundswell of opposition in Los Angeles And then he goes on to say, eventually, we're happy to have this fight, just as you said. A White House official said, emphasizing that politically, the administration sees it as a winning issue. They see this as a good thing. And the worse it gets, the more they see it as a winning issue. Now, here's something else I want to tell you, my friends. Now, I feel Donald Trump wants martial law. He wants martial law. Okay.
100.
In one fashion, we're giving it to him. We're fixing to, because check out this here. Here's another article that popped up. Let's see, what time did this one? This was Monday, June 9th, 9:05 last night. So it was last night, Mountain Time, my time. 11 p.m., almost midnight last night, this article came out. Protests spread beyond Los Angeles over immigration raids. Okay. This article was written by Nikki Pompley from Time Magazine. I don't know how much you can trust Time. I'm an older person. It's a reliable journalist magazine kind of situation. Here's what the article says, the first opening paragraph. Anti-ICE demonstrations are expected to spread to more cities this week after days of unrest in Los Angeles, with at least 30 new protests planned across the country in response to Trump's administration's recent immigration raids. We're giving him the fuel he needs to declare martial law across this nation. We are. What's going to happen? At what point? At what point? And who stops them? Who says? Is it at some point the military steps in and goes, listen, guys, the controls of this nation are out of hand, and has to pull the party out of power and rebalance everything, and not to put a general in power, but how do we fix this? How do we get this cancer out of our country, out of our, it's.
I'm surprised. I mean, I've heard that there's lawsuits coming. I mean, I guess Gavin Newsom is going to sue Trump, but I'm really surprised that there aren't more. And I also believe that the person who was arrested, I don't think they were a congressperson. They were somebody with the mayor, I believe, like one of his.
Yeah, mayor's office, yeah.
Yeah. And I think there are lawsuits coming, but I just feel like there should be more. Should there not be more? Since this is breaking laws?
I would think it's breaking laws. And, that's one of the things. I'm so sick of this, him being above the law. Him and any one of his little minions get above the law and destroy thousands and thousands of people's lives or livelihoods or retirements or all this business. And they walk away as though they've done nothing. There's a man sitting in a prison right now for walking into a pawn shop and stealing money. And yet these people can go around destroying thousands of lives in financial certitude for families. Yeah. It's disgusting. Trump has countless suits against him currently. Yeah, I can only imagine. What does he care, though, right? What does he care? If somebody, does he have to pay money? Who's going to go take the money from him? Who's going to take the money from him? If the federal government can't take the money from him, I mean, is Citibank going to go take the money? I just don't know who's going to take the money. If he loses these lawsuits, yeah. At this point, it's not even money. It's about some of it's money. Some of it absolutely is money, but a lot of it is legal ramifications. Well, I'm surprised. I am really surprised that he went ahead and brought Mr. Ortega back, Abrego Ortega back from I think that was Garcia.
Abrego, something kill, Abusa kill, Abrego. God damn it!
Fix this up in the chat. I know, right? Yeah. I'm not the only one.
Garcia Abrego. No, yes, Garcia is the last name. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. God damn! I knew it was in the head. I knew it was in that damn head of mine.
So why? I don't really know, but I'm surprised they did. I don't know why they did, but I'm surprised they did.
And maybe that just shows you they are fearful. Maybe there is a line that they won't cross. So maybe that is the way to start fighting back, is to get the judges making rulings against them. I guess would the fear in that be, though, that if they have the wrong judge, that it could go the opposite way and screw us? Is that maybe the precautions they're trying to take? I don't know.
That's a good question. It's a tough question. It's a tough question.
So
There's a lot going on.
No, I just want my rights. Can I just
Randall
have my
Flack.
rights?
No, the answer is no. We've seen the show. The answer is no.
Not allowed.
Let me see here. John the Heretic says, good morning from Tampa Bay, Florida. Randall Flagg, or should I say fascist Supreme Court, right? Donald Trump's efforts to in his last term to tilt the Supreme Court were very successful. If we lose one more and they get one more in there, that is it. We are so cooked. We talked about what would have happened had that Catholic Church been allowed state funding for their thing. Can you imagine? There'd be thousands upon thousands upon thousands. It would be like a gold rush for religious schools across this country to start rushing to the government, filling out those forms so they can get their government money.
Yep. And again, as they said, the people who are going to go to these schools are probably some that are already going. They're already sending their kids there because they can already afford it. So now you're just going to give them a free ride.
Right. Yeah, and taking money away from the people who can't afford it. And that's the worst thing. You give money to people like a billionaire who's got, this notion they have money in play that helps other people and businesses or whatever. They've got coin. They got this stuff locked up like Scrooge McDuck. It's just in a vault sitting there and does nothing to help no one. And it's psychopathic, really. But whenever it's about money, it's okay. But if they had newspapers in their house and it was so full of newspapers, they were getting, storage bins, and they, eventually found their body, that'd be a disturbing situation. But whenever it's money, people seem to don't have a problem with that.
It's a good thing if it's money.
I like the idea of
money is never wrong.
Never. I like the idea of getting into where once you've got $1 billion, that's it. Everything else you make goes straight to the world, goes to the poor, goes somewhere.
You communist.
Right? I know. Well, we have a minimum wage. We should probably in some fashion have a maximum wage too.
Why do we have it's even disgusting that we have a minimum wage.
Right.
Oh, it makes the market competitive. No, it fucking doesn't. It puts people in a system where they can't make shit.
The problem, one of the problems I feel, the minimum wage is it's too low. We have a minimum wage because if we didn't, they would pay them less.
And
it's just so disturbing.
I know, it's disturbing.
Yes, and if you're out there right now and you're being paid minimum wage, know what your employer feels about you. They would pay you less if they could. It's only state law that's keeping them from paying you.
Don't feel bad asking for that wage, that raise.
Yeah.
Ask, demand.
Living wage, not minimum wage, YouTuber grudge, And then, whenever shit went south with this plague that hit us back in who was the essential workers? Minimum wage people, the ones stocking the shelves in grocery stores. Right?
And how many of them still have long-lasting effects from COVID that they probably caught more than once and still need medical care and now are losing that medical care? They gave their lives basically for the American people, and now they're getting shat on, just like the people who went to the World Trade Towers when they fell, and all they're trying to remove the protections from the firefighters who were there and got like asbestos or whatever cancer and stuff that we're getting from all the chemicals.
Oh yeah.
You don't care. You don't care about the people, the working people who keep this country running.
And, they clearly, one of the things they're like, we can't afford that. So they want to cut those funds to help the firefighters and the people who have health issues related to 9/11 because we can't afford that sort of thing. And yet, whenever things like the cooties happen, boom, $2 trillion out of nowhere. Bam, they got it. They got that money out of nowhere. All of a sudden, and they just keep going back to that well. All of a sudden, bam, they just, money is nothing. It's just an imaginary number. They pull it out by the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and then they split it up mostly amongst the rich. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have gotten stupid rich. And that's just those two. How many other people, you remember whenever Donald Trump, I think literally that one day, whenever Donald Trump he crashed the economy and the stocks were dropping. And he said, now would be a good time to buy. And then Marjorie Trader Green and all these other people went out and started buying. They got this thing. I think that one day was probably one of the single in one day greatest transfers of wealth from the poor to the rich in human history. You know?
Yeah, 100% has to be. Really, there's going to be a time in history when they look back at this and, you know, because at some point they will do an autopsy on history.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen now, unfortunately, and people it happening now, they're pretending like it doesn't, just like, you know, those in Nazi Germany were like, well, it's not as bad as we think it is. Like, no, it's really bad. And when they do that autopsy, they're going to realize just how bad. Yeah. How bad the American people behaved, how much they just put up with and let happen to their friends and their family.
Yeah. Just like those people in Germany who watched, you know, some of the things like I mentioned earlier, you know, some of our laws, Donald Trump and his ilk are the ones making the laws spurned by religious theocrats, religious nutbags. And back in World War II, it was against the law to hide Anne Frank and her family. So you were being a good law-abiding citizen if you had just obeyed the law, right? If you'd have just followed the law. How many of you out there would have turned in Anne Frank?
I mean, they say that the law is moral, right? Is that not what like Christian nationalists claim?
Sometimes.
Law is morality. I don't think so, because technically, if you didn't give up Anne Frank, you were disobeying the law. Right. So were you immoral for saving a life? Methinks not.
Very true. And, you know, Randall Flagg here? Somebody in here. John the Heretic says, is it market manipulation a crime? Indeed it is. And guess who regulates that sort of thing? Well, Donald Trump came in and
get in trouble for insider trading or something.
No, they didn't. But after Donald Trump came in and manipulated the market like that, and all of his ilk went out and made all those millions of dollars, who investigates that? Well, the department that investigates that's been gutted by Donald Trump.
Ooh.
That's part of what Elon Musk has been doing, removing the checks and balances, the responsibility, the responsible groups that made sure that certain campaign violations didn't. I mean, that's what this has all been about, making their coup legal. That's what they're doing. They're using the law and money to make their coup legal right here.
Cuckoo.
That's right. And that's why anybody out there who is doing the protests and on the front lines doing the protests, and if things come to pass and you end up in court, remember, First and Second Amendment are your friends, because this is a coup. This is a threat, a domestic threat.
And the amount of people who are championing, like that video that I did yesterday where people were eating me up alive in the fucking comments, like, oh, that reporter shouldn't have been there. Oh, well, that's what happens when you're standing near right. Like, oh my gosh, like you guys are advocating to not have rights. Are you kidding me? It's so weird to me. Bootlegger.
Yeah, and you know, what's our First Amendment? Let me go here. I want to do here. So let me just check this out for those patriots out there. The First Amendment. Let's see. Are you going to read me the First Amendment? No. Give me the First Amendment. Damn it. It says the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects fundamental freedoms: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press. So like the video yesterday, whenever we watched here on our show, we watched that police officer, that riot guard, turned and shot that news reporter. There was no way. She wasn't even facing him.
There's no violence there. There was no agitation there.
Nope. The violence didn't start. We saw it. There was no violence. There was just boom. And we saw him pull up and shoot that reporter. And that by patriot, right-wing nutbag patriots out there, if you really love this country, you should love that First Amendment. And they just violated the First Amendment. by threatening the press and suppressing the press, they're violating the First Amendment of what? The Constitution that you people claim to love. The Constitution is the basis of the United States. I'm sorry, I don't know if you noticed this or not, people out there who are right-wing people, you know.
Maybe not.
That's what
They
they're
might not
supposed
know.
to swear to. Donald Trump swears duty to the Constitution. And then even says he doesn't know if it's his duty to defend the Constitution. So, excuse me. John the Heretic, I was talking with a person this morning who believes the protesters are rioters and Soros is paying them to do this. See, they're wrong. They're being misled by probably Fox News. This sounds exactly like something Fox News would put on, you know, or something of that nature. You know, OAN, some kind of lies. It's all just political propaganda. One of the things I want to do is I want to ask now, here is Jesse Bear. Jesse Bear says, Ryan, doctor working as a medic in LA needs supplies. Please help. At Ryan.
I'll try to give him a shout out. I think I'm going to do a video reply to a comment to one of those dudes, and I'll try to give them a shout out.
Well, here was what I was thinking about. If we know people who are on site in these places, we could have them live stream on the show.
Oh yeah, if they want to, absolutely.
Yeah.
If anybody would want to live stream and tell us what's up, tell us their opinion, what they're seeing. I'd love to know what they're seeing, what the word on the ground, how are the people feeling?
Yeah.
You know?
And I may, depending on what goes on with the show, because, you know, I mean, like I said, I've been up since 1 o'clock. But after the show is over, I may, depending on the circumstances, I may pull up a live stream and run another live stream after the show. Because we're going to be watching live across the country as all these protests unfold. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to miss it, to be true. Secular Feelingness, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Says, The Shovel made an article back in 2020 about the NRA accidentally forgetting to rise up against tyranny, and it's as salient today as it was then. You know what? I made a short video about it myself. I'm like, hey, where are you, man? All these years. And that's why I've been saying once all this mess is over, Second Amendment, no more. We need some adjusting. The NRA, they're out. They're out. They're gone. They need to be abolished.
They don't stand for shit.
They don't. This whole notion that they needed those guns so they could defend this nation from threats,
that's what it's about,
foreign and domestic, and yet we watch thousands of our children get murdered in high schools over the defense of their fucking guns, and then whenever the time came and a fucking actual theocratic bastard comes to overthrow our democracy and destroy our Constitution, where are they? Where the hell are they? All those children lost for nothing. For nothing. So these people could just sit at home and masturbate on their fucking guns.
Nope. Silence. All they want to do is profit. It's about profiteering off of this glory of guns, of self-protection, right? It's like posturing yourself. Look at me, I'm an American. I got a gun and I got my rights and my freedom, and you ain't gonna take it from me unless you're President Trump. Then I'm gonna lick your ass crack.
There you go. You're gonna get somebody's attention. Absolutely.
It's virtue signaling, like opposite.
Right. Hey, Jesse, do you and Ryan, are you guys on Discord together? Because she's sending you things that I think. Okay, I just feel like, I mean, that's what she's sending you. There is transient and will go away before you can ever see it. So she needs to send you those things to Discord.
Yes. I did open the Amazon link just so I have it. But if you put DM me, Jesse, because I am a little bit, local in La Cabeza, I'll forget.
And sometimes you can't go back and watch the chat. You won't be able to go back and watch it and see the chat. Sometimes it won't let you. I don't know why. It's a toss of the dice, but sometimes you will, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I want to mention real quick, all you friends, I got 50 of you out there. I got 50 of you friends out there. Now, have you guys heard about Seth Andrews getting his Facebook channel taken away? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you've heard about that way I know I'm not the only one here.
Thumbs in the chat. Have you heard the reasoning as to why Seth Andrew lost his Facebook account?
Yeah.
If you don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I don't even know if he knows why he lost his account yet.
He might not.
Do you know that he lost his account? That's the whole deal. Do you know? You do know that he lost his account. Yeah. So Facebook apparently took down Seth Andrews' Facebook account. All he got was a notification that says, we've taken your account because you didn't follow the policies. He has, because I only know this because I saw a post of his on Facebook from the Thinking Atheist podcast. So that one's still up. So he made a post, and he's gotten the message back from Facebook saying, hey, you've challenged this, so we'll get back with you and let you know. But this is kind of part of the thing we as content creators, as a community, have to watch out for. Okay. Based on the things we talk about, I really, any day I will be very saddened and disheartened whenever this channel is gone. I have no surprise. I mean, I won't be surprised. I'll be sad, but I won't be surprised, right? I'm posting a link. This is to our mailing list. Right now, it's just got a list where you can sign up for the Daily Atheist Morning Show or Theocracy Watch. But I'm going to alter it to where, just if you will, sign up. That's how we communicate in case we lose our things,
True.
Just kind of a notion there. I appreciate you guys. John Fapiano says, everyone be courageous and stand up in unity to fight back against the threat. That is all too real now. I love you all. Well said, John Fapiano.
Love you too, John.
And it's right. He's right.
Dear John.
Sumami says, BIPOC only,
It's okay. You're going to be okay.
BIPOC.
Well, you can't say it, just spill it. Sound it out.
That's right. Only recently got our rights to own firearms and defend ourselves personally. I'm not giving that right up.
And you should not.
Yeah.
I honestly want to see more. I remember seeing some like groups of BIPOC people out with their guns, just basically doing the same thing, just kind of walking around chilling, not causing any. I was like, please, we need more of that.
And it kind of amazes me that these right-wing people feel so justified. You'll see photographs of these guys in a freaking McDonald's or something, in a line of McDonald's with an AR-47 or, I'm sorry, an AK-47 or an AR-15 or whatever their business is. Oh, loaded up with ammo and all this weapons. Like, they're really in danger at the rando McDonald's, But these
rando
BIPOC people really are in danger. There really are racist, right-wing, homophobic, all the most horrific people are out there. That actor who was on
Parks and Rec,
Parks and Rec, the Indian,
and he also was the indigenous guy from King of the Hill, which I didn't realize.
That's where I was going.
King of the Hill, and
Yep. And that was what that was all about. It was all about hatred. My understanding is, the people, he moved away from the place where he'd lived because of all the hatred and all that. They burned down his house and attacked all this stuff. And he went back just to check his mail.
And I forgot that they had found like one of their animals dead there too. So they also killed their animal.
Really? Yeah.
Their pet, one of their pets.
When you start killing people's pets, that's when you've crossed the line.
Weird, man. Something wrong with you.
Weird. There you go. Let me go here. Jesse Bear.
Oh, what are BIPOC? Black, Indigenous, people of color, deviant, outcast.
Yes.
So it's just an easier, like, broad brush word to use when you're speaking of, marginalized in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, sapient cephalopod. Well-regulated militia. We don't need to repeal the Second Amendment. We need to enforce it. Well, okay. That's the whole deal, though. There's been several people in the chat who made some kind of comment about my comment about getting rid of the Second Amendment. But I think you feel me, right? These did the most horrific faction of our society, these gun-loving masturbating bastards. We all masturbating, but you know what I mean. Who these gun nuts, these gun freaks, these religio fascist. These people are the ones that they've been hiding behind that language and arming themselves behind that language and using that language to justify things for 200 years. And anytime there is a school shooting, the parents of the victims run to grab their children and hug their children. Conservatives across this nation run to hug their guns because they're afraid, oh no, it's been another school shooting. They're going to come and get my guns, And something else, every time a liberal a president gets into office, the conservatives go nuts about how they're coming to take your guns. It wasn't as much of a selling point this past time with Trump and the economy because they had the border, but usually it's been about the guns. And every time gun sales go up as all these people flood out there to buy their guns. I could almost be convinced that gun producers and liberal political candidates were in bed together. Whenever, I know it sounds weird. Does it sound weird? Whenever conservatives are in business, gun sales drop. Whenever they're in power, gun sales drop because there's not this panic. They're coming to get your guns. So like, what is it? Reynolds or Remington went out of business. Several of these big companies have filed Chapter 13. These big gun companies went out of business or had financial problems during conservative presidencies. But during liberal presidencies, the gun scare.
I'm sure they recognize the market. I'm sure they noticed that trend all too well.
I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised at all.
Nope.
I'm going to do a thing here. I'm going to run our, let's see what we can do. Oh, we've got an ARC encounter. I want to run a thing for the ARC encounter, and we'll be back in just a minute. Mr. Warlock says, it seems like Americans hated every white ethnicity at one point, Italians, German, British, Irish, Jews, etc. What's left after that? Well, all the non-whites, of course. Right now, Donald Trump is willing to import white racists from other countries all across the globe. So really now, at this point, it's just a matter of, as long as you're white, you're okay. Apparently. Some countries that are white, he actually wants to buy and take over. Isn't that interesting? How many times has he talked about making Mexico a state? I don't think he has he?
Gosh.
I mean, he's talked about putting military into Mexico and taking over the gun thing and going after the drug cartels and all that business. I don't think he's really vocalized making it a state. Not like Canada. Canada's white, though. Speaks French and English. Not brown, speaks Spanish. So. Jesse Bear says, Chris, I put both your links. Okay, good. You put links in my Discord. You put the links here in the chat. I think I saw too, as well, right?
Yes.
She put the links in the chat. So that's awesome. GoFundMe for the Gelios family. And then Amazon wish list for Dr. I know Fefo. Okay, cool. You put those in the thing. Awesome sauce. I can only pin one at a time, by the way. Let's see here. And I've got the one up there for your ice fan pinned right now. Yes, more politics. So that's kind of been the thing today, as we've been seeing. I don't know if it's escalated yet. I'm going to get off the stream and go check and see how things are going. An update. If we do have people who are across the country who can live stream in on these kind of events, it'd be nice. I may just follow other live streamers and see what's going on. Just kind of keep my head aware. It's just to, you know, my channel's not really geared up for that. Other people are better geared up for that than I am. John Hudson, or you can be a complete scum and buy your way into the U.S. for the low price of $5 million. That's just the entry level. You know, I don't know what Elon paid, but he got access all the way to the White House. And all of your Social Security information as well, by the way. I'm just saying, anybody, if you're out there. I'd really like an investigation of that. You know, they wanted her emails. Probably the reason why they were after her emails was, if I remember correctly, not because of the emails themselves. It was because they were stored on an insecure server. That was the problem. They had no notion of any impropriety other than the fact that they were possibly insecurely stored. So the difference.
And they
got
Signal. They got fucking Signal chats telling about their operations in Yemen and stuff like that, or there's reporters in the chat. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reporters in the chat. And then he's got other ones where he's telling other things to families. He's got members of his family in another chat.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a few of them, I believe.
Yeah. And this same guy, you know, he's got these right-wing, white supremacist, racist tattoos, Hexeth, on his body. He's been parts of these groups. I mean, how the hell does somebody like that get into our, right-wing? They fit.
That's who they're recruiting right now. And they're going to continue to, like you said, push out the good people who want to stand up and do the right thing, push them out, threaten them by whatever means necessary, make it uncomfortable. So that way they can put in those malleable, hateful people.
Yeah. Oh, gullible. Absolutely. The worst freaking. And look what RFK Jr. did. Fired the 17 members of the CDC council that are advised on virus response.
The CDC, NOAA, the weather system, like they're not able to give the data about the hurricanes. And the one guy who runs it was like, oh, I didn't know there was hurricane season. Are you kidding? Everybody in America knows there's such thing as a hurricane season.
And see, that's a great point right there. And that's the only reason why I want to defend him in a way in this thing. Because normally I'm like, what the hell do you mean? You know, but everybody knows. Doesn't everybody know you have I mean, is it not common knowledge? Are there people out there in the United States that don't know we have a hurricane season?
Who's the 22-year-old who he just put in charge of the
Oh yeah, I don't know. I know what you're talking about though.
It's about like terrorism. It's going to be something that like gathers intel on terrorism or something like that. I can't remember, but unqualified. Unqualified much.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, could not be more unqualified. And that's the whole thing. Just Donald Trump, like I said, the sycophants. And absolutely, you could almost just walk out in the street and grab a person walking by, anybody over the age of 30. You'd have especially somebody over the age of 30 and in a business suit. You'd almost guaranteed to have somebody who knows more. You know, yeah. Not that I'm shaming young people necessarily, but to get completely newbie inexperienced, they can road run these people.
So many bright people, absolutely. But he has no he's hiring people who have no training, no education in these systems, like frickin' RFK, just so they can destroy it. What is this kid gonna? What does he know about terrorism?
What could he possibly know? Yeah. What is his degree in terrorism? No. I'm going to say no. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Katie Dawson, before this one goes too far away, I got to read this. It says, has anyone seen the video of Elon's father praising the beautiful city of Moscow? I am not surprised, would not be surprised at all. No, because these guys are all the same ilk. Donald Trump has been in bed with Vladimir Putin since the 80s, with Russia since the 80s. I mean, he has. He's had meetings with them, done business with them, owed them hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm gonna do a thing real quick. We'll be back in just a second. I'm gonna do Ghost and Flesh Candles. The camera is pissing me off, and I gotta fix it. So.
Have you sinned again? Oh, and it's bad this time. A chicken just won't do. But wait, You don't have a goat for your burnt offering. Oh no. The Lord's wrath is upon you.
Insignificant person whose name I don't know, you have sinned. Probably. I shall smite thee.
What do you do? You're all out of goats. She left you for another man.
Fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of goat-scented flesh candles.
No goat? No problem. Just light one of these bad boys and let the sweet, savory scent of burning goat flesh rise up to the heavens.
Is that goat?
It's easy, it's fast, and deluxe models even have patented technology that produces a goat screaming sound as the wick burns.
Father Flanagan's line of goat-scented candles. Save a goat, burn a candle.
Father Flanagan's line of goat-scented flesh candles are part of our You Do You Jew interfaith outreach program.
When you sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. When the Lord requires that pungent smell, light a candle or you're going to hell.
Help me,
And we
Jesus.
are back. There we go. Hope you guys enjoyed your goats. Ryan was inhaling some goat scents herself.
That's what it was.
That's a good one, huh?
Sweet,
That's good.
delectable scent of goat.
Son of a goat.
Son of a goat.
It was a hybrid. Son of a goat.
Actually, it is a hybrid.
See, there you go. I am wise and know things. It was a familiar hack.
So Katie gave us the info. Did you see that?
Dude, what did I do? What I did so many things. Katie says Thomas Fugate, who graduated from the University of Texas at San Antonio just 12 months ago, is currently heading up. He graduated from San Antonio, University of Texas, San Antonio. Okay. The Center for Prevention Programs and Partnership at the DHS. Man, these
Big
people.
responsibility for such a young person. And again, I am not. There's probably more capable young people who could do that job than the people in his cabinet, for certain. But this is just
they
another.
Want these people to fail. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that, again, is part of the intention, Chris. I'm so glad that you brought up that point. And Trump even brags about the amount of people that he's brought in that have left.
Mm-hmm.
Why? That is a failure on your part. And I'm not saying that it's not good to get rid of people if they're not fitting. Absolutely the best thing to do. But the fact that you're not choosing them up front at the, like, come on. If I was getting married every other month because I just wasn't picking the right guy, you would be like, man, something's wrong with her. But this guy continues to pick terrible cabinet members, and it's okay.
His record for people in his campaigns and in his administration is absolutely horrific. When you go back and look at how many of his people have been in jail or convicted or confessed, how many of the people confessed? They confessed and were convicted for helping him overthrow the 2016 election. It's been a while since I've thought about those things. Was it the 2016? Is that what they were convicted for? For lots of things they were convicted. Michael Cohen, in fact, convicted, confessed to helping Donald Trump use campaign funds to pay off a porn star. Yep, that's illegal. Why is Trump not in jail for that? That's just one. Trump's now been convicted. They can
scrub it from the internet.
Then
it never happened.
And see, that's one of the things about the black hole of information coming. And what that is that's where at some point, like right now, I'm semi-protected because I've got a hard drive in my computer that has things on it. But most of your information you get from the internet. And if the internet and those sites that control it go down, all that knowledge is lost. And we'll have this information blackout. And then those people at that time can control all the information. Trip is your good morning.
Good morning. This site, Statista, says that this is from 2021, but he had 14 cabinet secretaries resign so far. And that was only a certain portion of them. And that, again, was from 2021. So I don't even know how many since then
Right. I've just resigned.
14 is a huge, like if you had like over your term, like maybe 1 or 2, like, hey, you didn't fit it, whatever. 14. Oh, that is and wait, y'all. They love this guy because he's such a good businessman. You can't hire the right person to manage these departments. That shows your failure. You cannot be a good business person if you cannot recognize real, because real recognize real. So again, this leads me to the path of intention. Like all these terms just make me see how this is intentional. And yes, he is a bit stupid, so that's part of it. But no,
but he's not the one doing it, right? We know he's just a puppet. Somebody else behind the scenes is, pulling these things.
There's a lot of hands at work.
I'm just checking the thing here real quick.
Sorry. Yes, most of his businesses did go bankrupt, or at least a lot of them. Enough of them.
A lot of them.
If one of them went bankrupt, I mean, that says something. Not necessarily, but could do. I mean, sometimes you fail and then you succeed. I get that, but more than one bankruptcy.
Oh yeah, he's got so many, and now we're here to this place. I mean, he's horrible at running his businesses. Every time he's been in control of this country, there have been riots across the nation. He's destroyed this country. He's ripped it apart. Remember, we had riots all across the country the last time he was in power. He got out of power. We went back to a liberal president, and who stopped with the theocracy and the fascist overthrow, and just didn't do the authoritarian nonsense. And all of a sudden, the riots stopped. We started getting freedoms back. And who's the ones coming for your freedoms? These right-wing lying motherfuckers who say we're the ones coming for their freedoms, and they get power. And what do? Who's going after your right to watch porn? Conservatives. Who's going after your right to get married? You're not a conservative. And we predicted this. We predicted this after they went after what Roe v. Wade. We knew. What's that?
I'm a prophet.
You're a prophet. I suspected.
And you must be a prophet too.
I am a prophet.
Because we have been predicting this. And
we have. I prophesied.
Oh, you prophesied even better than freaking Ezekiel. But going back to like Trump's bankruptcy, what people seem to skip over, like when they're like, bankruptcy, it happens. I agree. Bankruptcy usually means I probably didn't pay a Kohl's bill, or I couldn't pay my electric bill. And, all these bills kind of added up. What he didn't pay people. He didn't pay small businesses. That's who got shifted and shafted in that business deal. He got a shit ton of work in his hotels and businesses, golf courses, and then didn't pay the people, the little businesses who did the work. And they, because of that, had to go bankrupt.
That's right.
And nobody talks about the people who were affected because of his bad business deals.
Yeah. How many people has he hurt? This guy is just a horrific. Probably, maybe he is exemplary of what the United States was. Maybe. I'd like to think we can be better.
I think so.
I really would, but it's going to be hard. Remember what I say about World War II. The reason why it was so the fascists and the Nazis and all those people went away was because they died. They were killed.
Are we not going to have that luxury?
Well, what happens without that? How long does this fascist authoritarian regime continue? There we had a buildup. And then, the ones who were controlling were all taken out of power and all this business. But if that doesn't happen, and China has proven that you can keep a mass population under control.
Well, and my question is,
I was going to say, as we get more technologically advanced with facial recognition and things like that, and then we're talking about guards and people like that who, our own people aren't going to turn on each other. But yet we've got robots. They literally out there now have robots that they could do a lot of the policing. I mean, just the weird shit. Yeah. For those men on the line who, whenever they finally stop hurting other people, like this is too much, and they start going away, and they can no longer depend on the American right-wing men to continue to harm their own people, they can always turn to the robots. I don't think they'll ever get that far, though. I really believe there'll be plenty of those people around. Germany showed us that.
Yeah, I hope that it doesn't get to the robots, but the drones are coming. I definitely see them coming sometime soon. But I was going to ask you, because I think you might know more than me in that aspect. But when it came to Germany, how did they infiltrate the schools? Is it like basically what we're seeing here? Like to brainwash other generations of children.
Yeah, there was a lot of misinformation and propaganda. It's very similar. Now, part of the deal with Germany during World War II, and this is kind of really complex, was that Germany was coming off of World War I, and their economy had been decimated, and they were having to pay all these stupid high reparations back to these other nations and all this stuff. So all their people were in poverty, and it was easy for Hitler to come and say, hey, be proud of your work. And we don't have to take this. We need to make Germany great again.
We're not being treated fairly by other countries.
I mean, it went on.
Raise the tariffs.
That's right. And part of it, there's also somebody that's trying to help keep us down, and it's those damn Jews, right? Just like it's the damn trans people or the damn immigrants or the damn, they have to have somebody to vilify.
Yeah. Always got to be a villain, and they are the victim.
Simply Secular Dave says, do you think that if they had an election today in the USA that any Democrat could win today? Yes. I think almost any Democrat could win. As things continue to get worse, I don't dislike Joe Biden. He certainly would not have been my first person. I feel like he and Hillary Clinton robbed Bernie, the rightful person who should have been elected, who more represents the left of America. I mean, but I'm not
better under Bernie.
I don't think Joe Biden could win the election first time. Had Donald Trump not been such a horrific president in 2016 to 2020 and fumbled the COVID thing in 2019 and all that business, had he not been so absolutely horrific, Biden wouldn't have won. I think the only reason why Biden won was because Donald Trump was just so unfortunate. And now, after 6 months of Donald Trump, look what he's done. And I think Pete Buttigieg, hell yeah, I think Pete Buttigieg could get, I think Kamala could. I actually saw a news report last night. I just wanted to do more research on it that actually states that somebody's trying to do some investigating that they actually believe this last election was digitally stolen for Donald Trump.
I feel like we've all been saying that, because even Elon Musk was saying they wouldn't have won without him.
Mm-hmm. And we were set up because on our side we were because the conservatives were out there going, oh, it's rigged because they don't want Trump in presidency again. The liberals are out there going, no, this is the most secure election ever. So whenever we lost, we had no right to say, well, it was rigged, because we've been crowing that it was secure for all this time against their claims that it wasn't, and that's how he was going to win. When in reality, we were wrong.
And that was a short-sighted thing to say, because we're dealing with a different kind of enemy who has a new system, right? We're not just talking about paper ballots now. We're talking about like Starlink type interference.
Exactly right. Like, now, here's one deal. Right now we have, and I hope I'm right. Let me see here. Right now we have a war between the billionaire class and the poor. What we need on our side, because I'm poor, I don't know what you got. I'm in the poor class, but what we need on our side is money. We need a billionaire class on our side. So at what point will there ever come a point where we will have a billionaire war, where we have liberal billionaires versus conservative billionaires funding and fighting these things? Is that going to happen? In other words,
I don't know, because
are there any liberal billionaires out there ever to step up, bitches?
Could you even still? I don't know. That feels paradoxical to me, because how do you get to be a billionaire without trampling on people's rights and exploiting people? I mean, but there is a possibility you got there and you were like, oh shit, because hey, we all wake up to some point.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I mean, hey. It's possible.
That's true. Sometimes you do things like you invent, say, an operating system that goes on 90% of every computer on the planet. That's a worthy endeavor that probably lands you on the billionaires list. What do you do with that, though? Do you keep all that money to yourself? Do you use it to politically further right-wing people who hurt other people? Or do you do what Bill Gates did and start a foundation and help other people? And then eventually promises to give away the majority of those billions of dollars to foundations to continue furthering humanity when he passes. He's not the greatest of guys, I'm sure.
He's a very, very dirty person, that Bill Gates.
No, you're right. That's right. He's not the greatest, obviously. He's got issues. Didn't he like cheat on his wife or some business like that, you know?
I don't know.
Je ne sais pas. But when we're talking about the differences between what he's done and what people like Elon Musk has done with their wealth, you know, I mean, it's just horrifically different.
Yeah, true. But is that also just part of the facade? Is that also part of the grandstanding of the posturing? I'm not saying it is. I'm always like that devil. I always think of like the opposite side. Like, how do I make it seem like I'm a good person while I'm selling my product to kill people in Palestine, and then that product is probably going to be sold here to AI monitor us in the United States? And
I really don't know that like people like Bill Gates necessarily is directly involved with something like that at this point.
Oh yeah, remember I said Palantir, and he also has there's been actually
Bill Gates related to Palantir?
No, but he has stuff like Palantir.
Okay.
Just go to Middle East Eye and look up. There's even been a bunch of at his event. This event, he had a bunch of protests and stuff like that. If you're interested, yeah. Because he was telling people that he had nothing to do with like selling, using his AI or stuff like that, and it's been found out that was a lot.
I'll have to look into that. One of the things
again, I'm not saying they don't do, but Elon Musk has done allegedly good things too. So it's is he a good guy, or is he just trying to like make him look like he's a good guy?
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to parse out here. We don't have like I could argue that our world would not be the same without Bill Gates. Without Windows computers, I cannot tell you how many people's lives have been saved by Windows computers. Because the advancements. It was DOS before that. And can you imagine people running MRI scans and taking care of that? There'd be so many things. How many medical research breakthroughs have been made? How many diseases have been cured by the breakthroughs in computers made that happened through? Bill Gates has, I would argue, saved billions of lives. And if he stumbled a couple of places along the way, that's one thing. But again, he still plans to, my understanding, I think he's just creep for several reasons. I'm not waving the Bill Gates flag here. I'm saying
I know you're not.
When you think of billionaires out there, who's going to freaking help us? If there's ever going to be a billionaire, forgive me the expression, billionaire war, some billionaires are going to have to go, you know what? We got to step in and protect the poor. And some billionaires, Richard Branson, Melissa Gates, she's a billionaire by gift. She married into those billions of dollars, but she's given away a lot of that money.
Has she? I don't know much about her. I know like the Disney, one of the Disney daughters also is very like generous and whatchamacallit. So I mean, I guess it's not impossible, but you still like, I don't know. That's a quandary.
Right.
That's a quandary.
Yeah. Well, it's like her though. She's a great example. Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates is Bill Gates' ex-wife. She married him. When they divorced, she got like a shit ton of money, and she's given it away over time to lots of good charitable causes. I think like women's causes and stuff like that. That's what she's done with that money that she's done, as opposed to hoarding it like some sort of freaking dragon on a mountain.
Right.
Or using it off politicians.
Scrooge McDuck. Anybody?
Right. Smaug from the dragon. These are the kinds of things that good people with money can do. Bad people with money like J.K. Rowling are sitting out there funding anti-trans propaganda and shit like that. So that's kind of, I'm just saying, are there good rich people out there who are going to help fund this battle? Or is it all just going to be ground fund, or is it just going to be the groundswell of little people have to step up and
hopefully if the little people stop just believing everything that they're fed through the damn main news media that's owned by a few corporations and people. Like we got,
sure
we have to start getting our what?
And damn sure stay away from Fox is what I was saying. I was packing on what you were saying.
Fox is, I can't even.
It's a joke.
I can't even. Hey, listen, I enjoy their shows.
Well, the shows, I'm talking about the news reporters.
No, I know, but I'm saying like they're stay in entertainment, stay in stay in your lane. Do your political stuff through your entertainment and your TV shows. How about them apples instead of feeding us lie and acting as if it's truth, as if it's some kind of axiom. It tisn't.
That's right. Well, there was a guy named Joseph Goebbels, the propagandist for the Nazis, and he was prosecuted for that. As such, so should many of the right-wing talking heads on Fox News when this is over. They should, if you knowingly lied to the American people and caused election problems, that's those things, once an election has been lost, then that person is given the power to hurt millions of people. So we can't really downplay the severity of what they did. And it pisses me off that they only had to pay $700 and some odd $750 million.
Yeah, it was a drop in a bucket. But how do you hold them accountable without stripping them of their rights? Because I don't think they should be allowed to say it. I'm not saying they should, but I also don't want to strip anybody's rights.
No, I get that totally. However, you don't have the right to yell fire in a full theater.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Right.
By that same rule, you can't undermine the government of our nation knowingly, because what happens is people literally get killed by the hundreds of thousands. The poor. Look how many hundreds of thousands of poor people. Just stopping USA aid. How many thousands of poor people throughout Africa? Sure, they're not Americans, but it doesn't matter, right? They're people. How many people did Elon Musk kill just by doing that? So this letting Fox News's lies, they knew they lied. That's why they paid the money. They knew they lied. So letting that sort of thing pass is not good. They need to be brought up on trial of the Nuremberg.
Some kind of journalist accountability association or something. There probably is that shit. FCC. I don't flip know, but I do think there should be accountability in journalism. Like, especially if you are considered a news organization, specifically, if that's like your ranking or however the classification comes, I don't know. I'm not that smart. However that comes, it should come with a responsibility. And people like Rush Limbaugh should not fall into a news category. You know what I'm saying? Like,
never.
He can never call himself a news show. He would only be able to call himself commentary.
An entertainment show. And that's what they do. That's how they get away with it. Fox News is no longer an official news. They're an entertainment channel. And that's how they get away with it. Despite not being a legitimate news channel and really just being entertainment, they still undermined our democracy.
You see, that's not right. That does not seem right. Say what you want, but just not under the guise of an educated newscaster.
Yes. Well, I'm going to do our super chats real quick. Thank you to Lifting the Jedi $5. Says, didn't Jesus say where one or more gather in my name, tender crashes? Very much it does. Adam gave us 5 memberships. Thank you, Adam, for the membership growth. We very much appreciate you. And then Roman, very much appreciate you. Stay safe over in Poland. And then Secular Villainous for $5 says, The Shovel made an article back in 2020 about the NRA accidentally forgetting to rise up against tyranny. And it's as salient today as it was then. So true. So very true.
Is that what I was supposed to do?
Yeah. Rising up. We were supposed to rise up.
Oh, I forgot that part. Oh, that no nonsense. Can't take my gun away. Rights protector.
Right. And tread on me. Thank you for joining me today. What did you see?
Nothing. It's that whole don't tread on me while they're sucking the
right.
President.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to tread on you when you're licking a boot.
You can jizz on me. Sorry. Bye.
All right, girl. No, you have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Love you guys. Safe. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow for Wednesday, Hump Day. Sin safely, my friends. Take care.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat Scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Confession booth, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With each wick, guess who's your new best friend? When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goat's the scent that leads the way. Clean your slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace. From your living room to the kitchen sink, light the goat candle.